Good morning. I have no idea who's watching. Let's make things a little bit brighter. I'm just doing some test flying. I've got some new batteries, even though this one is only on 63% right now. Look at this. This is outside Herzliyah, and I'm doing some test flying, and Jono has kindly lent me an old iPhone because my other one was playing up to the point where I was terrified to fly because it was touching the screen at random moments, and the last thing I want to do whilst this thing is in the air is have random button pushes on the screen. This is some gigantic new building that is being built just outside of Herzliyah, which is one of Israel's major high-tech capitals, and I need to turn off notifications because I'm getting tweets, and the only issue is I've just hit 60 meters in altitude, which is as high as I'm allowed to go. So there in the distance you can see Herzliyah, lots of shiny buildings, all the big high-tech people, or many of the big high-tech people are here. Microsoft are just around the corner, and I don't know who's going to be going into this huge new monster of a building, but it's been going up for some time. And just to give you some geography, there's the sea. Those buildings there on the right that you can see, that's where I often fly. The marina is just right ahead of us now. I can probably fly towards the marina if I wanted to. I didn't get time to finish my Chernobyl video yesterday that I want to do. I still want to do it. Anybody who's heard my other periscopes will know that I'm very, very keen on doing a proper write-up of this. Let me just see. I'm just turning something on of basically what's going on. What the implications of the Chernobyl program are for anybody who's really interested in. In the Soviet Union, nuclear physics. It just was such a phenomenally interesting program, and yeah, I can't get over it. In fact, I watched the first 2 episodes again last night, picking up much more stuff than I'd seen on the first viewing, especially as subsequently I've now listened to the podcast written by Craig Mazin, the writer of it, and it just beggars belief to a certain extent, because I'll do a proper video on this. I will. But the thoughts that come to mind are a whole mishmash of such a brilliant explanation of how the Soviet Union was this unique experiment in terms of the scale. Obviously, communism has been tried elsewhere. I guess Chinese communism is also was on the bigger scale even. But this ability to throw people at a problem and to just see everybody as expendable, it makes me sick. And we're living in a time now where people are coming up with socialist economic policies, and you've got Corbyn in the UK and Sanders in America, and they're talking socialism like it can ever work and not turn into what the Soviet Union was. And that's the bit that annoys me, is how do we know? Why do these people think that they're going to be able to do it better? Why do they think that looking at identity groups as groups rather than individuals, rather than this individualist ideal which Judaism really puts into the world, even though I know you think that Jews all dress the same and wear black hats and things, Judaism is all about the individual, and Christianity took that forward to a certain degree, and sort of the liberal British tradition that became America, that took it forward. It talks about liberty and freedom and personal freedom, and the Soviet Union is just the absolute antithesis of this. And this just horrific set of events that occurred. And the events occurred because they de-individualized people. They occurred because they lied to everyone continuously, and the whole thing was a web of deceit and lies. And every single aspect of the story of Chernobyl occurred because of the nature of the Soviet Union. And now we have people who seriously think that they can institute socialist economic policies and not wind up back in the same position of having these anti-individualistic, anti-personal freedom, anti-rights, that, removing my right to say something because it might offend someone. Anybody who goes down that path is going to wind up in literally a nuclear disaster. A literal and a metaphorical nuclear disaster. And Craig Mazin says this, I think, somewhere in one of the podcasts, that Gorbachev said later that Chernobyl really was what brought down the Soviet Union, because whilst they were able to cap the reactor, evacuate thousands of square kilometers of land and move people to other places, the cost of doing all of that did contribute to the both the moral and the economic bankruptcy of America. And